Hey everyone, welcome in to another episode of Mouse Madness. This is Mouse Madness episode 22. We've actually been doing this for 22 weeks now, which I'm actually kind of surprised. I didn't realize it was that long. But welcome into episode 22, and we got a good one for you tonight. I sound like Steve Harvey when I say that. That's what he always said. We got a good one for you tonight. But we do. We got a good one for you tonight. I'm just bringing everything up on my phone. My apologies. We're going to have a good time with it. Before we get started, and I'll get into what we're going to do in just a minute, obviously we want to throw a few shout-outs and a few plugs. Obviously, Dean over at the Live Place, Dreamers Empire. I want to say hello to him and thank you. He hosts these live streams each and every week, and tons of family-friendly live streams on there. Be sure to check him out, liveplace.com. We just did our interview with him. He's going to put it on This Happy Place podcast coming up soon. So I hope you all check that out. And, of course, we also want to plug, of course, our channel here at Mouse Talk. If you're new to the channel, if you could, we'd love for you to subscribe. Also, give us a thumbs up on the video. It shows you care and that you like it and that you like the content. We stream every Tuesday and Thursday. We also stream on Saturdays for a sports night, which is a lot of fun with our partner channel, Steve's World, who is in the chat. And Steve, check out his channel. Great channel, Steve's World. He goes live on Monday nights. And, of course, my other partner channel is AJ from the Kingdom Times. But I'm glad everybody's here. I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. We have Steve's World, of course, is in here. Brian's in here. Nerdy Blurb TV. Bill, what's going on? Bill Dowling, welcome in. Bill is from work, for those who don't know. Bill, I hope you're okay if I say that. Well, welcome in, Bill. We also have John's in here. What's going on, John? I know it's late for you over in the UK, bud, but I appreciate you being here. And, of course, I said Brian already. And, oh, Melissa's here. I wonder who she is. We know who she is. But, yeah, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Everybody already left a lick. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Absolutely. But we're going to have a good time tonight. Tonight, we are going to do something a little bit different. Now, everybody, of course, it's March Madness. Hey, Chris, Disney World Adventures, welcome in, buddy. But, yeah, everybody, please say hi to everybody in the chat. Say hi to Bill and John and Chris and Steve and Melissa. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. We're going to have a good time with it. And like I was saying, March Madness is here, so there's a lot of competition going on. And I thought, why don't we do our own competition tonight? And I said, you know, the one we haven't done yet is we haven't done Universal Studios versus Walt Disney World. So I said, how are we going to do this? And there's a lot of different ways we could have went about it, but I thought, why don't we pick out some rides that are similar to what you get at Universal to what we have at Walt Disney World and go from there. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a good time. I've got 14 different matchups, and we're going to compare the matchups in 3 different phases. We're going to talk about the ride queue. We're going to talk about theming. We're going to talk about the ride experience itself. And then something I call the overall, is the juice worth the squeeze? And what I mean by that is it worth waiting? Hey, Cargo, welcome in. Good to see you. Say hi to Cargo, everybody. Hope you're doing well, Cargo. Thanks for being here. But I'm calling it, is the juice worth the squeeze? Basically, if you had to wait in line for an hour for this ride, is it worth waiting in line for an hour? Because, you know, I say that to Melissa a lot. You know, is it, you know, I don't really think this ride is, the juice isn't really worth the squeeze. So we're going to talk about that as well. And we're going to let you guys vote. I'm going to have my vote, but I'm not going to have the deciding vote. Majority is going to win on this. And, you know, if you haven't been to Universal, maybe you've seen videos or stuff like that. Hey, Noah, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Everybody say hi to Noah. If you've been to Universal, obviously you can talk about these rides. If you haven't, maybe you've seen video on them. But I want to talk about them and see how we compare in what we have. Because as I did this list up, I really saw a lot of matchups that I thought, oh, these are close. These are going to be good matchups. Of course, we've been to Universal a couple times. Not as much as we've been to Disney, obviously. But we've been there, and we've ridden most of what's on this list. And the other ones that I haven't ridden or we haven't ridden, at the very least, I've seen video of them. Cargo, we're just glad you're here. I hope you're doing all right, and we're just glad you're here. Chris Disney World Adventure says he won't wait more than an hour for an attraction. Well, we're going to talk about them, and we'll go over all of them in just a minute here. And again, we've got several ones to talk about. And these matchups, I think, are really good matchups. I think that overall, you're going to see a lot of tough ones. At least I think they're tough. And I kind of made that on purpose so that we could really kind of have to really go in depth and think about them. But let's get right into it. And I'm going to save some of them. Some of them are really big matchups, and some of them are going to be less big matchups, but they're still matchups that I thought were important and ones that we could compare. Yeah, John, it's going to be fun. Is the juice loose? Yeah, Melissa better hit the like button. I hope she does anyway. But let's get right into it. So the first one that we're going to talk about, and this is a biggie. We're going to jump right in with both feet. We're going to compare the Incredible Hulk roller coaster versus Expedition Everest. Now, first, let's start with the queue, okay? We'll start with the ride queue for the Hulk versus the ride queue for Everest. If you had to pick between the two, which one of those two do you like better? Now, theming and queue can kind of be the same, but I'm going to separate them for the purposes of this stream. So just strictly the queue. If you've been on these queues, which of the two queues do you like better? Do you like the Hulk queue or do you like the Everest queue? I know which one I like better. I think for me, it's not even a competition. Brian says Everest. Steve's World says Everest. Chris says Everest. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, Bill, it is a tough one. I get that. I totally understand that. Everest. Bill says Everest for sure. Well, that's fine, Steve, and that's okay. But you've still seen them, and so the votes still count. Okay, so for John, as far as the queue, he prefers Everest. Hey, Stacy, welcome in. Everybody say hi to Stacy. Glad to see you, Stace. Brian says he hasn't been on either one. That's okay, Brian. Totally understandable. And again, this is going to be kind of tough tonight because, again, if you haven't been there, Melissa said she's too scared to ride either one of them. It's true. For my 2 cents, I have not ridden Hulk, but I have seen the queue. And, of course, I've ridden Everest tons of times. The Hulk queue is just a queue. It's not really a lot to it, whereas the queue over at Everest is incredibly immersive, really, really cool. They really went all out on it. It's actually one of the best queues in all of Walt Disney World alone. So I'm going to agree with everybody there, and I say the check mark is going to go, Q is going to go to Everest on that one. So I'll give that one to Everest. I'll put a little E there. Now, what about theming, though? When we're talking theming on the Hulk ride compared to the Everest ride, I think the Hulk, in my opinion, is a little bit more of a competition in this, because that ride, there's a little bit more to it. So what do you guys think about theming of the overall ride? Just the theming. We'll get into the rest of it in a minute. Steve. He probably does in a lot of ways, if he ever would work all the way. But it's hard because as I look at the Hulk ride, there's a lot to it. I really like the way they do it. It's really cool. They have the sound effects coming out of there. Everest does tell a whole story. I agree. Hey, Meg, welcome in. Everybody say hi to Meg. Meg's in here. Good to see you, Meg. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, the backwards part is pretty intense for sure, Chris. I agree 100%. Meg. I think you meant to say Meg, Steve. So for me, I have to say for theming, I'm still going to go Everest. Just the entire theming is incredible with Everest. I mean, Everest overall is one of the best rides, I think, in all of Orlando, the area down there. So I'm going to agree with you guys and put another E there for theming. Now, what about ride experience? Talking about just the ride itself. As you experience the ride on Everest and you experience the ride on Hulk, if you've done it, what about ride experience? Which one do you guys choose there? Because they're both incredibly thrilling. Now, Bill says, Hulk does have some great theming, but Everest has the edge. The new entrance for Hulk is awesome, though. They used to They used to teach from the old Hulk track to create a cool archway. Oh, how about that? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Absolutely. I did not know that. So Meg says she prefers Hulk for the ride. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So definitely there. I get that. The Hulk, I think, probably... Again, I haven't ridden it, so I need those that have experienced it to give me a little bit more. Chris says Everest again. Meg says she doesn't like going backwards, but she likes the quick shoot-off on Hulk. Makes sense. I totally understand that. Steve says his opinion is going to be swayed on almost all of these. My vote is for Everest. Well, you know, that again, I just thought it would be a good one, a fun thing to do. Bill says for the ride experience, he prefers Hulk. Close one, though. So we've got 2 votes for Hulk. We've got Everest, 2 votes for Everest. Actually, 3 votes for Everest. Meg, no. Okay, so 2 and 2 right now. Melissa, I know that she can't do either one of these. Yeah, it's a great launch and a great ride overall. No, that's not true, Meg. For me, there are some Universal things I like. I think for me, I have to go with Everest because that's the only one I've experienced. But I do like the overall experience there. Stacy says she hasn't been to Universal, so she's completely in the dark with those rides. Let me put a preference out there for everybody. I would highly recommend everybody at some point go experience Universal Studios. I know we're all big Disney fans here, and it's almost blasphemy to really talk up Universal Studios, but they have a lot of good rides. And a lot of them we'll talk about tonight. Lots of good rides over there. Rides that are definitely worth taking your time to experience. They are. They do. They have a lot of them. Cargo, you're funny. Now, it is fun, but I still think everybody at some point try to experience Universal Studios. It really is. It's really nice. I do. I really like it over there. I think they have a lot to offer. But for me, again, ride experience. I've never been on Hulk, so I got to go Everest there. And again, is the juice worth the squeeze? For me, it is. I would wait in the Everest line. I definitely would. I would wait in it. Let's see. Stacy Riser says I went to Universal once actually, but I don't think any of the rides are still there. Well, maybe E.T. Gotcha. And Meg says Universal Studios is amazing. Sorry, I love both. I grew up going more to Universal Islands of Adventures because my family is older than me and preferred the thrill rides. Meg, I totally get it. And it is an amazing park. Both of those parks are really lots of fun. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But for me, the juice is worth the squeeze. I think both of these, in that respect, are worth it. Because I think the thrill ride there for a Hulk is a very good... You're going to get your money's worth once you get there. So for me, I think that's a tie. I think on actually whether or not it's worth it, if you have to wait, I'd say that one's a tie. Because I think they're both well worth waiting for. What do you guys think of that? Again, I guess a lot of you haven't been on it. But overall, the winner's going to go to Everest. Got more votes and won more categories. But Hulk, from what a lot of people say, is an amazing ride. Meg says, Chris says Everest has single rider. We will do that if we don't have a fast pass. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. Yep. Meg said I could never choose between either park. Disney is more magical, but Universal is a theme park. Fair enough. I get that. And Bill says juice is more worth the squeeze for Everest, in my opinion. I'll only wait about half an hour for Hulk. I would wait for an hour for Everest. Makes sense. Totally understandable. Stacy, yep, she said, I'm definitely going to go to Universal, if for no other reason than to see the Harry Potter area. And we'll get into that soon, too. But if we can't afford Universal along with Disney, then Universal will have to wait. I agree. I understand that, too. We've made those decisions all the time. If I had to choose between the two, we know which way we're leaning. Meg says she prefers other rides at Universal, but Hulk is good. Gotcha. Well, we'll say, hey, Isaac, welcome in, buddy. Everybody say hi to Isaac. So that's our first matchup, was Hulk versus Everest. Now, this next one, I think is going to be a lot closer in deciding on what's going to win. Dan doesn't even say the word Universal. I know. I don't understand that at all. He has to go over there one. You know why he won't go over there, Meg? Because he knows if he goes, he'll like it. That's why. So the next matchup, this one's going to be a real good matchup. You've got the Men in Black ride versus Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. And I'll tell you why I picked Buzz over Toy Story Mania. Because Buzz and the Men in Black ride, both of them, neither one of them are 3D rides. They're both shooting rides where you got to hit targets. But what you have is neither one of them are 3D. They're just regular rides where you have to hit real-life targets. So that's why we did this one. So you have Men in Black versus Buzz Lightyear. Now, the first one, again, the queue. Let's talk about the ride queues. The Men in Black queue versus the Buzz Lightyear queue. Now, I know which way I'm leaning in this, but you guys have to decide. If you haven't ever seen the Men in Black queue, I highly recommend you go see it. Now, for me, the Buzz Lightyear queue, it's not a queue. See, for me, Bill, I think this one's easy. I think for me, this one's easy. I think the queue for Men in Black is much better. It's a really nice queue, very immersive, got some fun stuff in there for you to see. I would have to say, for me, that the queue at Men in Black is just better. Yep, that's exactly right, Meg. You can also do a tour on the ground floor. Yeah, I agree, Melissa. For me, when it comes to the queue, I don't even think this is a competition. The Buzz Lightyear queue, there really is no queue. I mean, you're just in line and they got stuff on the wall. Now, you got the one animatronic up front, which is really cool. I like that. But it's a small queue, and really there's nothing to it. Most of it you're outside, whereas with the Men in Black queue, there's a lot more to it there. Meg's funny. Meg says, plus they say don't be a doofus, be a door right. Bill says, Men in Black regular queue is okay, but if you do the free immigration tour, it becomes amazing. I believe it. I think that's what Meg was talking about. Absolutely. I'd love to do that. For Brian says Buzz Lightyear for him, Disney purist here. Again, I just try to be fair with these. I mean, for me, I'm going Men in Black. I agree, Bill. I think it's going to be Men in Black. I know Melissa said Men in Black. Meg said Men in Black. John said Buzz. Brian said Buzz. Steve said Buzz. So it's close. But I got to be honest with you guys. I think the queue is just so much more immersive and more fun over at Men in Black. I got to give it to MIB on this one. Now let's talk theming. Okay? Talking about overall theming of the rides. What do you guys think of there? Because for me, again, this is a toughie. I really like the Buzz Lightyear theming on the ride. It's really colorful. It's really a lot of fun. Well, that's what makes these brackets. Well, this isn't even really a bracket thing. This is more just a versus kind of thing. But for me, theming. Which one do you like better with theming? Again, I think it's close. I think both of them are themed really, really well. Let's see what we get in the queue. I mean, in the chat. Now I got my mind on queue. Let's see here. So Meg says Buzz. Okay, interesting. Well, but that's okay, Steve. But you've still seen them. I mean, you can make an opinion of things. I mean, I've never been on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Shanghai, but I can make an opinion that it's a great ride. Hey, Nathan, welcome in. Everybody say hi to Nathan Rita. Welcome in, Nathan. Good to see you. So Steve says Buzz. Meg says Buzz. Melissa's thinking about it. John says Men in Black. Nathan says Buzz. Chris says Buzz. Brian says Buzz Lightyear. So, all right, I think Buzz is going to win that one. Buzz is going to win theming. Although, for me, I probably would have said Men in Black. I think their theming is incredible over there. Now let's talk about the actual ride itself. Let's talk ride experience. Of these, Bill says he leans towards Men in Black for theming too. It's close, but from start to finish, great theming. I tend to agree. That would have been my pick, but I think Buzz got the votes. What about ride experience? For those that have never been on it, but think about the ride itself and tell me which one you like better there. Think about the ride, the animatronics in the rides, the overall view of it, and let me know what you think there. Steve says Buzz. Isaac says Buzz. Brian says Buzz. For me, without a doubt, hands down, in my opinion, it's Men in Black. It's not even close. It's not even close. The theming and the ride experience in Men in Black is so awesome. It really is such a great ride. Meg says, if you asked me 10 years ago, I would have said Men in Black, but now Buzz has my heart. Plus, I get Galactic Hero a lot and don't do as well on Men in Black. Fair enough. For me, I get that, Steve. It can look scary, but the ride experience is incredible on Men in Black. I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree, Bill. I'm going ride. For ride experience, I got to go Men in Black. It's such an amazing ride. It really is. Melissa, did you vote? I didn't see her vote. I think Men in Black is good for all ages too, Meg. I really do. I don't think it's that scary. But, Melissa said Men in Black. So we got, let's see, Bill, myself, Melissa, but we got Isaac and Meg. Bill wants to hold out hope he can score on Men in Black one day to max it out. I've never even gotten close on any of them. I'm terrible with those kind of games. Oh, the spinning when someone hits your target, then before you, yeah, you get eaten at the end. Absolutely, Meg. I know what you mean. But for this one here, for ride experience, I guess most of the votes are going for Buzz. I don't know. I'm terrible at both too, Melissa. Me too. So Buzz gets it for ride experience. Now, for me, is the juice worth the squeeze? I can tell you right now, I'm not waiting more than 25 minutes for Buzz. I'm just not. It's not. It's fun. It's okay. But I agree with Melissa. The laser pointers on that thing are hard to follow. You don't know which one is yours and which one's not. The gun itself is sometimes hard to push, and you're wondering, is your laser working? The experience, the overall theming and all is fun and it's very colorful. But for me, I would wait longer for Men in Black. I just would. I think it's a better ride. I think it's a better overall ride. I think it's more immersive. I think it's more fun. Steve says neither. Well, you got to pick one, Steve. Yes, Men in Black has single rider as well. I wish Disney had a little bit more of that. Bill says he would only wait about a half an hour for each one. Meg says they provide free lockers too. Yep, I agree. Well, I wouldn't necessarily know that I would wait an hour for Men in Black. It just depends. But I would definitely wait more than 20 minutes for it, 25 minutes. I would wait 40 minutes for it. I like the ride. I think it's a lot of fun, especially when you're out in the street and it looks like you're on one of the main, like streets battling the all the monsters. I don't know. I think it's neat. Yeah, I would wait longer for Men in Black too, Meg. I really would. Steve says he would wait longer for Buzz. You're only saying that, Steve, because you've never ridden it. So for me, the juice is it worth the squeeze? For me, Men in Black's going to win that one. To be honest, I don't even think it's close. Yep, I agree, Chris. Men in Black here too. So there you go. So overall, we have a tie because they each won one. I mean, they each won two. Men in Black won on the queue and the juice is worth the squeeze, but theming and ride went to Buzz. Meg says her whole family always had an amazing time on Buzz. Need to find that picture from when I was a little kid. Oh, yeah, that'd be really neat. Absolutely, Meg. I agree. Look, I think both rides are a lot of fun. I don't think that the Universal Men in Black ride would be as scary as you think, Steve. It's really not. There's so many little kids on that ride all the time, and they love it because they get to shoot the aliens. Nothing really pops out at you or anything like that. They're kind of just there. Now, I haven't ridden it in a while, but that's my opinion. No, Universal doesn't have Fast Pass, but they do have something like that, but you have to pay for it. Wow, Meg's father's, his favorite ride is Men in Black out of all the theme parks. How about that? Right, they have Express Pass. And with that, if you're staying at certain on-site resorts, you actually get that for free. It's part of your package. Come on, Kim, you want to go out? Sorry, guys, I got to let the dog out. Go ahead. Go. Bye. I don't think the dog likes the subject tonight. He's leaving early. You know what, Steve? I'm telling you, I don't think she would be that upset. I really don't. But again, I don't know if she's watched Men in Black. Yeah, certain ones, if you stay on property, you get free express pass. Yep. Absolutely. All right, so next matchup. Now, here's another good one. I kind of went a little old school on this. We have the Simpsons ride versus Star Tours. So we have the Simpsons ride versus Star Tours. And I went old school simulator rides. Okay? I didn't want to use the simulator rides, the newer simulator rides over at Universal versus Star Tours because I thought, I don't know that that would be such a fair matchup because of, better technology. So I said, well, let's go with some of the older rides for simulators and put them up against each other. So we have Simpsons versus Star Tours, and we're going to start with Q. Let's start with the Q. What do you guys think about Q? Just the Q. So, Meg, what about Q? Because theming's next, but I get what you're saying for theming. If you had to pick one for Q, which Q do you like better? Because for me, if I have to pick the Q, I'm going to pick Star Tours there. I think the ride Q for Star Tours is much better. The queue for Simpsons is kind of meh. You're just kind of outside. It's really nothing to it. Brian said Star Tours, that baby powder smell almost made him barf. Star Tours for sure. Star Tours Q. Steve, Star Tours until August. It is the only thing we have for Star Wars. Brian, Star Tours. Melissa, Star Tours. I agree. I would have to say for Q, I don't even think it's really much of a battle there. I don't know where Bill is. I don't know if Bill's still in here. Bill, what's your opinion on that? But for me, I really like the Q in Star Tours. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Bill says he would go Star Tours for the Q. Pretty basic at Simpsons. Isaac says, I went on Star Tours in person, but I never seen the Simpsons ride going Star Tours. Okay. Oh, Stace, I appreciate that. No, I'm glad you're still here. No problem at all. I'm just glad you're here. Well, Meg, I'm talking just rides because I get what you're saying on the area as well. The area over there is fantastic, but we're sticking just to the rides. So for Q, we're going to go Star Tours. Now, what about theming? Let's talk theming over there because what's all part of the Q theming? Because think Simpsons, I agree with Meg, the theming in there is really, really cool. But I got to be honest with you, I think the Star Wars theming is pretty amazing too. You have the Ewok village up there. You have the AT-AT right there. When you go inside the Q area, everything inside, you have that big spaceship. You have R2. You have C-3PO. I don't know. I think the theming at Star Tours is pretty darn good. Meg says, and I like the theming at The Simpsons. I think it's a lot of fun. It's really neat. So this is a tough one. I think this is a lot tougher than the Q. So John says, yeah, I know, John. I'm with you, buddy. I mean, Meg, if we were to include the whole Simpsons area, I think that they win in that respect. But that Simpsons area, I don't know. I don't really consider that part of the ride. I just think it's part of the whole area. But I get what you're saying. So Bill also picked Simpsons. Says the theming, he'd go with Simpsons. It's close, but I think the theming at Simpsons has a slight edge. Both rides, though. You know what? It's funny. When we rode Simpsons the first couple times, I was fine. And then we rode it again one time, and I was like, oh, it didn't hit me right. Oh, I don't know, Meg. We'll see. Stacy, I get motion sickness from 3D graphics, so from what I understand, for more Universal rides, I'll need medicine. Yep, it's true. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, too. You're right, when you talk about motion sickness. There's a lot of rides over at Universal that are similar. I'll just say that. So, for me, let's see. We got a lot of votes for, I think the only 2 votes we got for Simpsons was Meg and Bill. Bill says, Simpsons area is one of my favorites at Universal. Could go for a cold Duff beer right now. That's true. But the votes have it, and everybody picked Star Tours for theming. Now, what about ride experience? What about the ride itself? Which one of those 2 do you like better? Do you like the Star Tours ride, or do you like the Simpsons ride? Hey, AJC Magic TV, welcome in. Back to the Future, Meg. Oh, I wish we were there for that. We never got to see it. Noah says he was scared riding Simpsons when he was small. It's pretty intense. But what about rides? What about ride? Do you like the Star Tours ride better, or do you like the Back to the Future? Now you got me saying it, Meg. The Simpsons ride. John says Star Tours. AJC Magic says Star Tours. John says Star Tours. Meg says it. Steve, Star Tours. Steve, good point. It's almost never the same. Good point. Disney World Adventures, Star Wars. Bill, ride experience, I have to say Star Tours for sure. Yep. It's true. I agree. I think it's pretty much unanimous. But what puts it over the edge for me on Star Tours is just what Steve said. It's different every time because you have different missions. It's not the same exact thing every time. And that means a lot. So I agree. John says he did Back to the Future way better than Simpsons. Yeah, I don't know why they changed that. Stacy says if we do get to go in October, I don't think we'll make it to Universal, but I'm still going to take meds for Disney. And I got to go to the Back to the Future ride. It was great. Yeah, I know. I believe it. Hey, Jeff, Don't Whip Dad. Welcome in, buddy. Welcome in. Everybody say hi to Jeff. Jeff, welcome in. We are comparing Universal rides to Disney rides. So, ride experience goes to Star Tours. And, again, is the juice worth the squeeze? For either one of these rides, anybody waiting more than 30 minutes for either one of these rides? Meg, I got anxiety, guys. That's why when you see me breathing heavy like that, it's anxiety. Lots going on. But you guys help to make it better. That's why I'm here. We miss you too, Jeff. Glad you're here, buddy. But for any of these rides, or either one of these rides, is the juice worth the squeeze? Any of them? Are you waiting more than 30 minutes for either one of these? I would have to say for me, probably not. Only reason why I would say for me, Star Tours is because I'm a big Star Wars fan. Really, Steve? You've waited over an hour for Star Tours? Wow. Okay. So most people are saying Star Tours. Basically, in other words, John, is it worth waiting that long for the ride? Is the ride worth waiting? That's basically what it means. Is the ride good enough that it's worth waiting a long period of time for? That's all. That's what it means. Yeah, Meg, it's true. I tend to agree with that. It's hard to wait for either one of these. Part of it for me, I'm going to say this is a tie because I don't know that I'm waiting that long for either one of these. So we're going to tie there. So Star Tours wins. Kind of unanimously on that one. That was a kind of a good one. So here's the next one. And this one, I think, when we kind of compare this one. Jeff says he waited for Star Tours when it was new, and yes, he's that old. Jeff, I think you're younger than me. Well, yes, Steve, there's a reason why you get at least one Fast Pass for it all the time. It's always available. And I love Star Tours, don't get me wrong. Yeah, exactly, Meg. That's exactly right. That's why. Hey, Ray J, welcome in. Everybody say hi to Ray J. Ray J's here. Glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. How's everything over where you are? I know it's probably the next day over there. But good to see you. Glad you're here. All right, guys. A few more matchups to go. Well, we got a lot of matchups to go, so we got to keep moving. What about Dudley Do Right's Ripsaw Falls versus Splash Mountain? We'll start with the queue. What about the queue? I think this one's kind of tough if you really think about it. Think about the queue over at Splash Mountain. What is there to the queue? You're funny, Jeff. You're not that old, buddy. I think you might be, Stacy. We might all be the same age. I can't remember. We might be. Splash Mountain, Song of the South. Fair enough. But see, for me, when I think about the queue of Splash Mountain, there's really nothing to the queue. I think this one's kind of a toughie only because, we'll get to the ride and the theming and everything soon enough. Yeah, but when you're talking, talk just straight queue. Think about the queue. What is it in the queue that makes it special? I don't know that there's anything that makes that Splash Mountain queue special. There's really nothing there. Meg says rips off Dudley Do Right. AJC Magic says rips all falls as well. Bill says rips all falls as well. Well, Jeff, if it had more of that, I'd agree. I don't know. I think the queue at Splash Mountain could be better. I think if they did something with that, it could be better. Yeah, you may get wet. Oh, yeah, it's true. You're going to get wet. John says rips all falls. I got to agree. I think it's going to go to Dudley Do Right on this one. So Dudley the rips all falls is going to win this one on queue. Now, what about theming, though? Let's talk theming on this ride. Because to be honest with you, the theming, again, too, is going to be different because the Dudley Do Right ride is themed really, really well, but the Splash Mountain ride is themed incredible. So what do you guys think about that? Theming. Who do you pick there? Dudley Do Right or Splash Mountain? We haven't gotten the bags yet. I want to get a bag. Splash, 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 for sure. I want to get one of those bags. We haven't gotten a Ziploc bag yet. I'd like to get one. AGC Magic, Brian, Sploosh. Yep, it's right, Meg. You can do that. They could add that. They could add that at Splash Mountain. Theming. Bill says Splash as well. John says Splash. So Splash Mountain's going to win that one. All right, now let's move on to the ride. I agree. I was going to say that. That would have been mine. Melissa says neither because she's not riding either. But you've ridden Splash Mountain. All right, so what about the ride experience itself? What about the ride experience? Which one of these two rides is a more fun time? If you're gonna pick, oh my gosh, what a great time. Which one do you like better when it comes to the actual ride itself? Meg says Splash Mountain. Brian, we're gonna get her to love that ride before it's over. Steve says Splash Mountain. I think John's saying Splash Mountain as well. Yeah, see, I agree. And the thing about Ripsaw Falls, too, is I think it goes like this. It's not just one straight drop. It's like, woo, woo. It's kind of like two hills. So Brian and Chris say Disney World. Adventures say Splash as well. Lots of votes for Splash Mountain so far. I love the ride on both, but I think I lean Splash Mountain here, Bill says. HAC Magic. Ripsaw Falls, if you like to get soaked, lots of little fountains. Yep, there you go. John says Ripsaw Falls. The drop is better and longer. Yeah, it does seem to be that way. But the votes, I got to go Splash Mountain. I think what helps Ripsaw Falls is the drop because of the fact it's a little longer and it goes more like a couple of humps instead. But I got to go Splash Mountain for overall ride experience. Jeff says, all I've done at Universal in the past 20 years is Harry Potter stuff, so I'm going to be WDW every time. That's fine. Yeah, it's like 2 bumps for sure. But it's got to go Splash Mountain overall. Lots of votes there. And then, of course, is the juice worth the squeeze? Are you going to wait a long time for either one of these rides? Well, it does have, you're right, Chris, it technically does. I mean, there are some little drops on Splash Mountain. You're right. Absolutely. Got to keep moving along. Yep, we're moving. For me, I think that probably Splash Mountain's worth it. Ultimately, it's such an immersive ride. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot to see. There's different areas. There's more than one drop. I'd wait much longer. I agree, Meg. I was just getting ready to say that. I'd wait much longer for Splash than I would for Ripsaw Falls. And Meg, part of it is exactly what you said. The ride's longer. You're on it for a longer period of time. I tend to agree. Yep, I agree. Bill says, I wouldn't wait too long for either, but longer for Splash. Makes sense. All right, so Splash Mountain gets that, and they win the matchup. Splash Mountain. Next matchup, this one's going to be a toughie. Although I think I know which one's going to win. You have, talking about trains, you have the Hogwarts Express versus the Walt Disney World Railroad. So the Hogwarts Express and the Walt Disney World Railroad. Let's talk queues. The wait queue, the line queues. Which one do you choose there? Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Meg says, and Meg, I almost picked Jurassic Park on that one, but I thought I'd go with Dudley Do Rights instead because of, I don't know, I just, for some reason, picked that one. Yep, you got to pick either one, Meg. You got to go Walt Disney World Railroad or the Hogwarts Express. They're both real trains that move. So what about the queue? The queue for Hogwarts or the queue for Walt Disney World Railroad? Everybody, Meg, Hogwarts, they are different, for sure, Melissa. Bill, AJC Magic. Steve says Disney, he's going with the Walt Disney World Railroad. Chris says Hogwarts. Stacy saying the railroad. Noah's saying Hogwarts. Dole Whip Dad, Jeff saying Hogwarts. Melissa saying, I agree. It's easy. It's not even close. The Hogwarts Express, the queue to get on that is pretty darn cool. I mean, it's just awesome. You guys ever get a chance, go look at the queue for the Hogwarts Express. It's the neatest thing. I got to go to the Hogwarts Express as well. I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you. Like Meg said, there is no queue. It's pretty neat. All right, let's go on. So the next one, yep, right. You get to walk through a wall, platform 9 3/4 for crying out loud. You get to watch the people disappear into the wall. It's pretty darn awesome. I agree, Meg. What about theming? Again, I think this is kind of a no-brainer here. I think this one, if there's one that really, I think Universal's got a good shot of wipe and clean, it's going to be this one. Theming-wise, Hogwarts Express or the Railroad. Again, there's not a lot of theming to the Walt Disney World Railroad. It's just kind of a railroad. But for me, I think theming-wise, it's got to be Harry Potter. The Hogwarts Express is amazing. Everything about it, the entire theming of it is spot on. They do such a great job with it. I think mostly everybody, even Steve, is going to agree with this one. King's Cross Station. You're right, Bill. Great area. So everybody agrees with that one. Hogwarts Express wins there. Now, ride experience. What about the ride experience itself? Actually on the ride. On the train. If you had to pick between, again, Hogwarts or the Railroad, who are you choosing there? Well, it's fair only in the fact, Melissa, you're right, but I tried to find real trains. And, you know, for what it's worth, you really are on a train with the Hogwarts Express, and you do really move. They do take you. That's why I chose them. Yeah, exactly, Steve, for sure. Meg says, I think we should also say that you need both park tickets to ride the Hogwarts Express. Yes, you do, but that can come up with the next thing we talk about. Is the juice worth the squeeze? That's you're right, Meg, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. Steve says he's going with Disney again. I love seeing the Magic Kingdom from the train. Bill says Hogwarts Express. Awesome how the ride is different each way. Absolutely. Plus, you get to see the Dementors, and you can see Ron and Hermione in there, and you can look out the windows, and it looks like you're really traveling through the country. And Stacy says he's only been to Disney World, but she thinks she'd rather experience Hogwarts. John says he's only done the Railroad, so he's picking that. I got to be honest with you. I love seeing the Magic Kingdom, too, and it's so much fun riding the Walt Disney World Railroad. If we had the Disneyland Railroad, I think I might pick that. But for me, it's got to be the Hogwarts Express. It's such a fun experience. There's so much more to it. But the votes are going for the Railroad. So I got to give it to the Railroad. So the Railroad wins that one, although I don't agree. I would have picked the Express. Now, the last thing, and Meg, you were just talking about this, is the juice worth the squeeze? Or is it worth waiting a significant amount of time? Or in Meg, like you said, Meg, would you purchase a multi-park ticket to ride the Hogwarts Express? Because you have to, because you can't do it if you don't have a multi-park pass. Stacy says she would definitely wait longer for Hogwarts. I think I would too. Me personally, I'm probably going to have a multi-park pass anyway, because if I'm going to the one park, I'm sure I want to go to the other. So for me, Steve, it's true. But for me, I think I'd rather ride. I'm going to ride the Hogwarts Express, and I love the railroad. Melissa will tell you, every time we go, we have to ride the railroad, and I really like to go around one full time. But the Express is something else. Yeah, that's yeah, the multi-park. I agree. I agree. Steve says he would wait the maximum wait time for the railroad, even though it would not be an hour. Fair enough. I get. Hey, by all means, that's why you're there. Yep. I would definitely do it. Is there even a wait for Walt Disney World Railroad? Sometimes there is, Meg. Sometimes there is. Not all the time. Bill says I'd wait longer for Hogwarts Express. It's how I usually get from one park to the other. It's true. Beats walking. So I think the Express wins that one. And overall, the winner is going to be the Hogwarts Express. So the next matchup, this is kind of a cool one too. Talk about being up above. We have the High in the Sky trolley ride over at Dr. Seuss Landing versus the People Mover. And we'll start with the queue. This is actually going to be hard. What about the queue for these two rides? High in the Sky trolley ride versus People Mover. Think about just the queues. Just the queues. Chris says the only train he'll wait for is the Amtrak train. So there you go. Dr. Seuss, 100%, Meg says. 100%. Now, again, this is just the queue. We'll get the theming, we'll get to ride and all that. Dr. Seuss for Noah, too. Yeah, pretty much, Steve. Dr. Seuss for AJC Magic. High in the Sky for Bill. Steve will probably vote for High in the Sky. The people, yeah, well, that's true, Meg, and that you're right. Well, it has a queue. It's just ropes. That's it. That's all it is. You're right. Yep, Dr. Seuss. I agree. I think we all got that one picked out right. Dr. Seuss is going to win the queue. What about theming? What about theming? If you had to pick here, which ride wins for theming? Again, think just theming. Not ride experience yet. We'll get to that. Just theming. If you had to pick, which one's themed better? Nothing, Meg. I agree. I agree. I don't think this is much of a competition in that respect as well. Steve, Meg, they all say Dr. Seuss. AGC Magic, Dr. Seuss. John says Dr. Seuss. You know, Bill, Chris, all saying Dr. Seuss. It's Disney. Steve says, hey, Jelly's Journeys. Welcome in, everybody. Say hi to Jelly's Journeys. She's just coming in. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We're talking Disney versus Universal rides comparison. So I agree. I'm going to agree with everybody here. You got to go with Dr. Seuss on this one too. So let's talk ride experience though. So let's go over the ride experience. Which one do you like better? Now think about everything on the ride. Think about, because they both pretty much have narration while you're riding it. They go through different areas. They talk about different things. They have different views of the parks. What do you think about the overall ride experience when it comes to these two rides? Which one do you pick there? If you had to pick one there, ride experience. Do you like the ride experience better on People Mover, or do you like it better on Dr. Seuss? So Meg and John say People Mover. I'm saying People Mover. I think I like the experience better on that ride. Jeff, I just appreciate you coming in, bud. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. AJC Magic, People Mover. Stacy, People Mover. Steve says, I guess I'll vote for People Mover because overall the Magic Kingdom is better than Universal. The other one. Jelly's Journey says, never been to Universal. Well, you got to try it one time. I think you'd like it. Noah TTA. Bill says this is a tough one, but I'm going with People Mover on this one. I tend to agree. I tend to agree. I think the People Mover is just a better ride experience, although I do like the ride. I do like it. I like the ride at the High in the Sky. I think it's fun. Hey, Dougie, welcome in. Everybody say hi to Dougie. It's definitely not Dougie. I'm just kidding. Dougie, welcome in, buddy. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Yeah, for those who don't know, Dougie's going to be having a Marvel podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Dougie? Should be doing a Marvel podcast soon. Be sure to check that out when he starts it. I'm sure he'll give us more information as he gets closer to doing that. I'm going to check it out, and I hope you guys do too. Now approaching Mickey Star Traders. That's true. Yep. So there you go. And then lastly, is the juice worth the squeeze on either one of these rides? How long are you waiting for either one of them? Dougie says he's not sure. Well, you let us know when you get it together, Dougie. I'm sure we'll all come out and support you, buddy, for sure. For me, is the juice worth the squeeze on these two? For me, probably People Mover. I like waiting. I like that ride. I'm sorry, I just do. I do. I just like that ride. I'm comfortable on it. It's a relaxing ride. Beautiful views of Tomorrowland and the Magic Kingdom and the castle. You get to see a little bit of inside stuff too. I just think it's a good time. I think it's underrated. Yeah, exactly, Steve. I mean, it's true. AGC Magic says not more than 15 to 20 minutes though. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yep. And you know what? I knew Nerdy Blurb TV was in here earlier. I don't know if I said hi to them. I hope I did, and I apologize if I didn't, but I always like to say hi to everybody. Sleepy Time at Disney. There you go. So I agree. I think People Mover wins that one. I think if I had to pick between the two, I'm going to go there. So for that one, you got a tie. They each won 2 categories. Tuggy says other people are in charge. He'll just show up and act opinionated. No, it's true. You usually don't have to wait. Melissa's right. Usually you don't have to wait long for People Mover. My gosh, we're not even halfway done and we're already coming up on an hour. My goodness. We probably will have to finish this next week. I can't finish it tonight. We're coming up on an hour. Yep. You're right, Stacy. So next matchup. This is going to be a real good one. And I know how Bill's going to vote on this one. Revenge of the Mummy versus Rock and Roller Coaster. Revenge of the Mummy versus the Rock and Roller Coaster. Let's start with the queue. Yep, I agree. It is the most streamed ride, for sure. So Meg says Mummy. Just the queue now. We're not talking about the ride yet. Just the queue. Think the queue areas. Bill says Mummy. I knew that. Steve says Rock and Roller Coaster. John says he loves both of them. Chris says Rock and Roller Coaster. Melissa can't vote on either one. Noah says the Mummy ride. John says Mummy. Bill says he loves both, but he has to go with the Mummy. I totally get it. AGC Magic Mummy. It says Mummy. Sorry. Really, Meg? How about that? That's kind of interesting. Stacy's out. I'm out. Stacy, does that mean you're leaving? If you're leaving, have a good night. But if you're out on this one, I totally understand. But just for these rides. Oh, I got you. I'm going to say, for me, I think it's the Mummy. I think the queue Mummy, the queue at the Mummy is fantastic. It's just amazing. That whole queue area is amazing. And we got a lot of votes for Mummy. So the Mummy's going to win that one. Now, speaking of which, does the Mummy ride make you make a funny face when you take off? They don't record it, Jelly's Journeys, but trust me, in some of the areas on that ride, you're making faces. Trust me. It is pretty intense. It is pretty darn intense, for sure. It's pretty neat. Oh, I think it does, Meg. Personally, they just don't record it. But what about theming? What about theming? If you're talking theming, which ride do you like better with the overall theme of the ride? Which one do you think is better there? I know which one I pick. Nope. Let's see. Steve says Rock and Roller Coaster. Meg says, no, you don't. You don't go from 0 to 60. But Meg, you do have, it's pretty neat. I don't know. I tend to agree with you. I think that Mummy ride is pretty awesome. Mummy theming, AGC Magic Mummy. John says the Mummy. Got to go with the Mummy. Bill says for theming, so consistent and immersive overall. I agree. Chris says Rock and Roller Coaster. Noah says the Mummy. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think the Mummy's going to win that one too. And I agree. You do start off slow, but it's pretty... But I think it's because it's telling a story, Megan. And then once it gets going, it gets going. And not only that, I think it's longer. Rock and Roller Coaster, you're like on and off in no time. You know, just as you start getting going, you're like off the ride. But I got to go with Mummy as well. I think the Mummy's getting all the votes, so the Mummy's going to win that one as well. Now, what about overall ride experience? Which one do you like better for the actual ride itself? Jelly Journey says, Rock and Roller Coaster, I always make the same face trying to breathe, but I'm trying to look cool never looks good. I understand that. So, for actual ride experience itself, Stacy says she'd rather go on Rock and Roller Coaster because I've seen Aerosmith in concert, but I've never seen the Mummy movies. Oh my gosh. Stacy, you got to see the Mummy movies. I think they're good. I know Steve doesn't like them, but I like them. I thought at least the first one was really good. Meg says Mummy. Steve says Rock and Roller Coaster. Bill says the Mummy. Yep, I do too, Bill. That's a really cool room. AGC Magic says likes the Rock and Roller Corkscrews. I get that. John says I'd have to say Rock and Roller Coaster. Okay. Chris says Rock and Roller Coaster. So far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 for Rock and Roller Coaster. We've got Meg and Bill for the Mummy. Dougie says Rock and Roller Coaster. If the Mummy pulled off its fake out ending halfway through the ride better, I might have said that. It's a good idea, but poorly done. I get you. Yep, I understand that too, Meg. I'm going to go with the Mummy as well. I think it's a better ride experience. It's a little bit of a longer ride. It's more of a story. I think it's really, really neat. It's kind of in the dark. It's got some really good dips in there. But, you know, you got to go by the votes, and the votes give it to Rock and Roller Coaster. All right, so the last one is the Juice. Hey, Alyssa Steinberg, welcome in. She votes the Mummy as well. Good one. Absolutely. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Everybody say hi to Alyssa. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. They were memorable that I just don't remember them. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So what do you guys say for overall? Is the juice worth the squeeze on either one of these? How long are you going to wait for either one? How long are you going to wait for the Mummy? How long are you going to wait for Rock and Roller Coaster? Anything over 30 minutes? I think in today's day and age, almost everything you have to wait over 30 minutes. I don't think anything's under 20 minutes anymore. But Steve says Rock and Roller Coaster. Alyssa, I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad you were able to stop in for a bit. John said he's wait 30 minutes tops. 30 minutes is fine, Meg. Okay. But which one do you choose? Which one? Which one is the one you're going to wait for? You're going to wait for the Mummy? You're going to wait for Rock and Roller Coaster? Bill says he'd wait an hour for both, but he gives the edge to the Mummy. Steve says he's waited an hour numerous times for Rock and Roller Coaster. Need Fast Pass for both. I get it, John. Absolutely. Perfect. I don't ride Rock and Roller Coaster, so definitely the Mummy. Okay, so there's a couple for the Mummy. There's one for Rock and Roller Coaster. 30 minutes waited longer before a single rider Rock and Roller Coaster. So AGC Magic says Rock and Roller Coaster. All right, so there you go. The Mummy, I'd happily wait over an hour, half an hour. I'd wait in line for Rock and Roller Coaster till I died. Dougie. John says he'd wait for the Mummy long. Wow, this is really hard. Rock and Roller Coaster again for Chris. Oh my gosh, man, we got a lot of votes here. So I'm going to give it as a tie there because it looks like we're pretty close to being a tie. Because personally, I'm going to wait longer for the Mummy. I think it's a better ride experience. That's just that. Yeah, you'd fit right in there, Dougie. Well, for the mummy, you'd fit right in there, but he'd rather die on the rock and roller coaster ride. So mummy wins that one. Now we are coming up on an hour. We're actually at an hour now, guys. I have 2, 4, 6, 7 more to go. I don't want to hold everybody because we're already at an hour and we've done 2, 4, 6. We've done 7 and we got 7 to go. So what do you think? Should we keep going or should we call it a night? I think I'm going to let you guys vote on that one. Part 2 next week. Well, that's probably what we're going to do, John. I think we're going to call it a night and do part 2 next week. And we've got some really tough ones for next week. We got some really tough ones for next week. But a few things I do want to go over with everybody before we head out. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope you liked it. It is late for John and Dougie, absolutely. And I would want them to be here for it. But I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We had a good time. It's something a little bit different than what we've been having on streams lately. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yes, gives us more time to discuss. I agree, Meg. Please, before you head out, please give us a thumbs up. It's really important to the channel. It really helps to kind of get it out there, and it shows you care. And if you're new to the channel, if you're watching on the replay, please subscribe. We'd love for you to subscribe. I want to say thank you to everybody for getting us to 500 followers on Twitter. That was my goal for the year, was to get to 500 followers, and we got to 500 followers. We really did, and we got there a lot sooner than I expected. YouTube's taking a little bit longer. Our goal for YouTube is 1,500 by the end of the year. We're at about 1,263. So if you have friends out there, if you can coax them into subscribing to our YouTube channel, we'd appreciate it. Buy them a drink or something. We'd appreciate that. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I hope you guys had a good time with it. Of course, we stream on Tuesdays. We stream on Thursdays. We stream on Saturdays for Sports Night, something a little bit different. Of course, our partner channel, Steve, Steve's World, he goes on Monday nights. Please be sure to check him out. Meg, Mickey's Magic, goes on Wednesday nights. Both of them are 8 o'clock on Monday and Wednesdays. Disney World Adventures, Chris, who I always seem to forget. Chris goes right after us on Thursdays. I think it's right after us. It's either that or at 10 o'clock. Be sure to check out Disney World Adventures, his stream. He also goes live during the day, I think, at lunch. Be sure to check that out. AGC Magic TV. I don't know if you guys ever go live, but check out their channel. Thank you to Dean, the Live Place, at the Live Place Dreamers Empire. He hosts these family-friendly live streams. He does wonderful stuff. I don't know if I'm missing it. Oh, Mouse Madness! The tournament starts back up tomorrow. You'll have new matchups starting tomorrow. The matchups that we're in right now are ending today and tomorrow, and we got new matchups coming out. Please vote, 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 vote. YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Please, we'd love for you to do that. Hey, Jeff, welcome back, and now we're leaving. I think Chris is 9. Okay, good. Bill, thank you, bud. I'm glad you came in. Glad you had a good time. Definitely appreciate you being here. Appreciate everybody who came in tonight. Nerdy Blurb TV was in here. John, Meg, Jeff, Stacy, Chris, Disney World, Steve's World, of course, my partner channel. Melissa, the love of my life, is in here. John, Noah, Bill, Dougie. You're all great. I appreciate everybody coming in tonight. It's a lot of fun doing it, especially when you have tough days or you're in a down spot. You know, lot going on right now, and lots of big decisions coming for us. So it's nice to finally get some positivity out there, and we definitely appreciate it, Melissa and I both. So I hope you guys had a good time with it tonight. We definitely did. Be sure to check out Meg tomorrow night, and Chris on Thursday, and of course us on Thursday. And until then, everybody, please have a good night, and please take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you all soon. Bye, everybody.